Welcome to Transform Your Health series. I'm Trudy.
And I'm Tanya. And together we have over 50 years of combined experience in health coaching and in wellness. We're so excited that you've joined us today for this webinar.
Today our topic is, what does a nutritionist look for when choosing supplements? When most people pick up a supplement off the shelf, they assume these things. The product is safe, it has been scientifically proven to work, and the product and the company can be trusted. All three of these are myths. I used to think the same thing myself because, it's really hard to know. One company says it's organic, it's the best, it works miracles, it does everything. All the claims that you see, but anyway, it's really confusing. So it boils down to this. Who do you know that you can trust? How do you know who to trust? And think about your hard-earned money. You're spending it on supplements. So doesn't it make sense to spend it on something that actually has been proven to be safe and effective? It actually works. So let's look at some important facts that you might want to know before you're choosing your supplements. First of all, the DSHEA Act was passed in 1994. It's actually called the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. It's really important to know what that establishes. It establishes these two things as it relates to us in supplements. Supplements are regulated as food, not drugs. Secondly, the FDA's responsibility for oversight is after a supplement's on the market and it has been proven to be harmful. In fact, the FDA has a website about tainted supplements. And if you look closely at the wording of that, it says the FDA is unable to test and identify all products that could have harmful ingredients. Think about that. So I just choose to believe what my doctor friend said: beware of bargains in parachutes, brain surgery, and food supplements. It makes sense to me. We also have to be careful about the word natural, because arsenic and lead are both 100% natural, but we know they're absolutely not safe. The FDA even has a webpage which talks about the term natural as it's applied to food and supplements. And they say in this wording that the word natural is not even intended to address things like pesticides, food processing, irradiation, and all those things that could affect the nutritional content of both the food and of the supplement. So it pays to be aware of what you're spending that hard-earned money on. So in light of all this confusion, Tanya, can you kind of help us to know who to trust and what to look for?
Absolutely. So this is not a picture of me as a little girl, but she's adorable. And this picture really represents kind of how my life was growing up and still is to this day. I'm always examining and asking questions and looking deeper and deeper into things. And so for me as a wellness professional, it was really important to know what supplements I could partner with, what company, what brand I could partner with in my business to, first of all, be safe, secondly, to be very effective. But first and foremost, I was looking for a supplement company for my family, because even though my background was health and wellness, and I'd even worked in a vitamin store in college, part of the time in college, I wanted to find a supplement to help my toddler son with some significant health challenges he was going through with asthma and eczema. He was very, very sick. And so instead of doing the traditional treatment protocol, I wanted to strengthen his own body through natural supplements. But that was a little more difficult than it would seem. After working in a health food store, I knew several things for certain, and I had a lot of questions. I wanted to know what supplements would be safe for him, what company I could trust, because let's face it, the supplement industry is in many ways like every other industry. The companies need to make a profit. Every company needs to make a profit. So we've got to know who to trust and learn some basic things that can help us make those decisions. So this little diagram is kind of a basic diagram of how I think my brain works. I ask questions, the gears start to turn, I get an idea of how something might work, and then I kind of test it. And I either decide, yes, it works, or no, it doesn't. And I base it on all of my, my education, my training, and my experience over the last 20 years in health coaching. So here are the facts that I started with when I was looking for a supplement company. First of all, not all supplements are safe, and I knew that. We had the ephedra scare, people dying from supplements laced with ephedra. I was well aware of the fact that not all supplements were safe. I also was aware of the fact that not all supplements are clinically tested, not all are proven to work. The reality is that I could create a supplement today in my house, get it on the market within a couple of weeks with some really clever packaging, and that would be perfectly acceptable. And not all companies and labels can be trusted. So I knew it was not a good idea to just blindly trust what was on the label, because oftentimes I've seen Olympic athletes who have been banned from participating in games because a supplement that they thought they could trust had a banned substance in it. They didn't know it because it wasn't on the label, and it cost them all of their Olympic training and having to sit out of games. So it is really important to know those facts, and I wanted to know them for myself. Linus Pauling is someone whose work I really respect because he won the Nobel Prize twice. And in his scientific work, he studied vitamins very exclusively and made a lot of amazing discoveries. And he said, I believe that you can, by taking some simple and inexpensive measures, extend your life and the years of your well-being. My most important recommendation is that you take vitamins every day in optimum amounts to supplement the vitamins that you receive in your food. Now, I knew that what I was getting from my food, even though my diet was very clean, and even though I was feeding my children a very clean diet, they weren't getting everything they needed, and neither was I. And so I was on a hunt for the supplement company that I could trust and would fill in the gaps and provide optimum health in optimum amounts of supplementation. So why did I pick Shaklee as my brand partner? Well, this kind of gives you a little bit of the behind the scenes working of my brain and my analysis of the data. First of all, because it was 100% safe. Here's what I discovered when I started researching Shaklee more. There are over 20 million people worldwide who have used Shaklee products. And of those users, they have not had side effects, they've not had complications, they haven't had any issues with using the product. Shaklee has a A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and that was important to me as well. Even more important, because you can have a lot of users use a product, but that product isn't necessarily safe or effective. So even more important to me is that the U.S. Pharmacopoeia sets standards for testing that needs to be done on raw materials to check for pesticides and contaminants and that type of thing. So instead of just settling for the bare minimum standards, Shaklee goes above and beyond with 250 plus tests above what the U.S. Pharmacopoeia sets as the standard for testing. And that's just unheard of. They don't have to do that. They do that for quality purposes, and that impresses me a lot from a scientific standpoint. Shaklee also does more than 74,000 tests on the raw ingredient in just their life plan alone. That is really significant. And over 100,000 quality assurance tests every single year. And to me, that speaks volumes, because I know with my background and my research, I know that that isn't a required of supplement companies, and most companies will not do what they're not required to do. And some companies try to get around what is required, not just in the supplement industry, in companies in general. And so knowing that they don't have to do this and yet they do is very impressive to me. Okay, additionally, the products are 100% proven. Now this was significant for me because testing is one thing, but proving it with clinical studies is a totally different thing from a scientific perspective for me. Shaklee has over 100 clinical studies to prove that the products work. These aren't just any studies. It helps to know the difference between the kinds of studies that supplement companies will tell you they've done on their products. So some companies say they've done clinical studies or say that they've done studies, scientific studies on their product, when what they really do is they give surveys to the people who are already consuming their products, and they ask them to rate how they feel, ask them to rate if they're noticing the improvement in the area. That's not an unbiased study. Shaklee performs unbiased studies, which means there's a random group of individuals, there's a placebo, and it's a double-blind study. I'll tell you why that's important in just a minute. But Shaklee also has over 100 patents on their products, which is just a step further to say that not only are their products clinically studied, but they're unique enough to be awarded a patent. And the landmark study was a cumulative study of 20 plus years of supplement use. And we'll talk about those results in a minute. They were pretty impressive as well. Okay, so Shaklee products are proven in the lab. I mentioned double-blind clinical studies. So for me, from a scientific perspective, this is really important because like I mentioned a minute ago, some companies just give a survey to the users of their products and they say that is their scientific study. Well, that's not even a blind study. That's really just a survey. But Shaklee goes a lot further than that, and they do double-blind studies, which means that neither the participant nor the doctor administering it know who is getting the placebo and who's getting the active ingredient. And so a researcher controls it, but the doctor and the patient can't actually influence the outcome by what they believe to be true about a product. And that's really significant. It also means that Shaklee spends clinical testing dollars in research and development that a lot of other companies just aren't willing to spend. Now, peer review is a totally different thing. So it's one thing to put your product out for clinical testing to prove that the product works, to prove that it gives the desired result, but it's a totally different thing to take your research and hand it to a bunch of your peers in this field of science, whether it's sports nutrition or weight loss nutrition or molecular biology, to hand it to a group of peers, and their job is to pick it apart. It's like writing a research paper and then submitting it to your teacher for her to take a red pen and mark through all of your errors in it for you to correct. And so what happens is when you do a clinical study and you submit that clinical study for peer review, then the panel of your peers has a chance to say your science was faulty, your findings don't match up, we reject it, or you need to resubmit these portions of it. It's a rigorous process and it takes a long period of time, and it also takes money. And so Shaklee goes that extra step above even double-blind clinical studies, and they do peer review as well, which is why they have over 135 published papers and peer review articles. And you can just see, this is a tiny graphic of the process of going through peer review, but it just gives you an idea of the fact that it's a multi-step process to get your clinical work reviewed by a group of your peers and then accepted for publication in scientific journals. This is just one example of so many of the studies that have been done involving Shaklee products. So the little blue lines with the yellow dots on the end are telomeres. Telomeres are, they're the little end caps of your DNA strands. Basically, if you think about the little plastic end cap on your shoelace, that's kind of what a telomere is. And it protects your DNA strand from unraveling, basically. So very, very new research in the field of telomeres. Elizabeth Blackburn, she did this study on telomeres. She wrote a whole book on it. But her study proved that when you use Shaklee products, particularly the Vivix product, that it helped to increase the length of your telomeres, and it helped to reduce the amount of shortening that happens naturally with age. So the study projected that a long-term Shaklee user that is 80 years old would actually have the telomere length of a 41-year-old. And now that we have understood telomeres a little bit more, we know that that plays a significant role in the aging process. Another study that was done is the landmark study. This is a very unique study because it's the longest study and the first study that was done of long-term supplement use. So basically what you're seeing is a graph of just some of the results. They took people who had used Shaklee products for 20 years or more, compared them to those who had not used any supplements at all, and then actually to people who've used other brands of supplements. And as you can see from the green bar, Shaklee users fared far better than the people who used no supplements at all, who are represented by the blue bar, and people who used other supplements, which is represented by the red bar. Now, in many cases, you're actually better off using no supplement than using other brands of supplements. So you can see from the incidence of diabetes, heart disease, coronary heart disease, C-reactive protein, triglycerides, in some cases, you're better off not using anything than you are another brand of supplements. So basically what the outcome of this study told us by Dr. Gladys Block, who is the lead researcher on that, was that there is a benefit to long-term supplement use. However, most companies don't use the same level of quality assurance in the manufacture of their product as Shaklee does. And very, very few companies do any clinical testing on their products before they manufacture them. And so those results are very specific to long-term Shaklee use. Also, the Shaklee products are proven by people. Shaklee products were used in space by the Kellys, the twins that were lived in space for a year. One of them lived in space for a year. The first ever climb to the top of Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen, a North Pole expedition, the longest human-powered flight across the Aegean Sea, the longest human-powered nonstop trip around the globe, Jacques Cousteau's vessels, and actually Shaklee developed the rehydration drink that NASA astronauts still use as a re-entry drink into the atmosphere. This is maybe my favorite slide of the whole thing because I'm so proud of Shaklee's rich heritage with Olympic athletes. So many Olympic athletes choose to use Shaklee rather than get paid endorsements from other companies. And we have over 146 gold, silver, and bronze medals that have been won by Shaklee athletes in the games. You'll notice on the left side, I got to meet one of, well, actually several of the Olympic athletes at a science symposium that Shaklee sponsored and got to hold the Olympic gold medal. And then at the bottom of that slide, you'll see me with Eli Bremer, and I got to actually share a microphone with him and ask questions about training routines and nutrition routines with Olympic athletes at the last symposium, and that was a whole lot of fun. Okay, Shaklee products are also 100% guaranteed, and they're guaranteed with 100% money back guarantee, guaranteed to be safe, clinically proven, better than organic, non-genetically modified, absolutely no animal testing, and guaranteed to be bioavailable. And let me just say this about better than organic. Organic means that it was grown without the use of pesticides, but it doesn't mean that it's pesticide free when it comes to you and me. It means that it was grown to certain standards, but it could be shipped in a container that's been sprayed with pesticides. So Shaklee guarantees that the products are better than organic standards because they don't just ensure that the growing was organic, they ensure that the process remained organic from the time it was grown to the time it was received by them in the lab to produce the final product. Now let's talk about bioavailability because not all vitamins are created equal. This X-ray, you can see, unfortunately, some supplements that are leaving the body undissolved. The one at the very bottom of the X-ray was taken 2 days prior, still unabsorbed in the system and actually leaving the system through the rectum without having even dissolved. You certainly don't want your hard-earned money to be going down the toilet. Shaklee has developed a system that's patented. It's called the Shaklee Micronutrient Advanced Release Technology System. Basically, all it means is that the right nutrients are delivered to the exact right place for absorption at the exact right time. And there are 12 patents and 2 pending on this process and the vitalizer strip as well. This next slide is really all of the things that you would have to eat to get the nutrition that you get in one vitalizer strip, which is my favorite thing to take every single day. Okay, so what's next? Here is what I would like for you to consider. If you don't take any supplements at all, then maybe watch some of our other videos in the Transforming Your Health series and see the need that you have to be on supplements. Personally, I feel like everybody needs to be on a supplement to fill in the gaps. And if you're going to take a supplement, you definitely want to take one that is going to meet the marks for purity, potency, and safety. If you do not know anyone who has access to connect you with Shaklee, you can talk to Trudy, you can talk to myself, you can talk to the person who sent you this link, and we can help you get started with the supplements that are right for you. If you already are using supplements, but you're not using Shaklee, your health is really worth being absolutely certain that what you're taking is safe, it's not contaminated with lead, it doesn't have other contaminants in it like prescription drugs, and that it's actually bioavailable. It's absorbing in your system, it's dissolving first of all, it's absorbing, and it's clinically proven to work. So if you're taking a supplement and it's not Shaklee, and you're not 100% certain it meets that criteria, again, talk to the person who sent you the link, talk to Trudy, talk to myself. You're going to get our contact information in just a moment. and we will be able to help you with getting connected to Shackley products.
Thank you, Tanya. That was amazing. She always amazes me with all the facts she brings in, and she makes them simple so we can understand. And here you see our phone numbers. So if you have any questions about what you've heard today, you're welcome to text us. Once again, we encourage you to contact the person that gave you the link to this presentation, because they're probably already connected with Shackley, and we want you to stay connected with that person since they're the one that brought you here. If you have no contact and you kind of stumbled upon this or were invited by us, obviously ask us whatever questions you want to. We love for people to text us. We're texting people and answering questions all day long. Here's our info, and you're welcome to contact us at any time. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
Trudy, let me just say this before we close. I didn't mention this, and I really need to mention this.
Okay.
You can find Shackley products online on Amazon, on eBay. You can probably find a smattering of products on there. But let me just tell you, don't order them off of the internet like that, because these products are not legally sold. They have zero guarantee if you order them from any channel other than an authorized method of purchasing the products, and that is direct from a distributor, or it is direct from the company. It is not through third-party sources like Amazon and eBay. And so you don't have the guarantee that the product is not contaminated when you order it through a third-party source. And so let me just encourage you to connect with someone who is a trained, reputable representative of Shackley, rather than just order through eBay or Amazon. You may be able to find a product that looks like it's cheaper, but you have absolutely no guarantee that it is in date, that it's the actual product you think that you're getting. And so for safety purposes, please just order through a reputable licensed source, not just randomly off of the internet.
Hey, thank you for mentioning that, because remember the story we had not long ago where somebody had ordered, they shouldn't have, but they had ordered a protein supplement, and when they got it, they ordered chocolate, and when they got it and opened the container, it was actually a vanilla. It was out of date. But you know, good luck on contacting the person that you bought it from those places that are not supposed to even be selling Shackley to start with. So that we have some other horror stories about that too. So I'm glad you thought to bring that up. So thank you for joining us today. We're going to be making more of these series, and we'll invite you to listen to them and invite your friends, because we're here to help people. And just like us, we didn't know where to turn, but we're so thankful that we found out the Shackley difference, and it's totally changed our lives too. So until next time, bye, and we'll talk to you later.